The night before my wedding should have been a blur of nervous excitement, the kind that keeps you awake imagining vows and first dances. Instead, it was the night I overheard a truth that would unravel my life like a thread pulled from a sweater, slowly at first, then all at once. I stood outside a dimly lit private lounge at the Regency Hotel, clutching a small leather box with my fiancé's late father's cufflinks, a sentimental gift his mother had begged me to deliver for the ceremony. I hadn't planned to crash his bachelor party. I wasn't that kind of bride-to-be. But fate doesn't care about your plans. Through the cracked door I heard Ethan Caldwell's voice, rich, confident, the same voice that had charmed me 3 years ago at a rooftop fundraiser. He was laughing, that deep, unguarded laugh I'd once thought was reserved for me. "Come on, Jake, you can't seriously think I'm settling down with Lauren," he said, his words slurring just enough to betray the whiskey in his system. His best man's voice cut through the haze. "Why not? She's perfect, smart, connected, the whole package." Ethan's reply hit me like a punch to the gut. "She's a stepping stone, man. Her family's money will get Caldwell Ventures where it needs to be. She's devoted, easy to control, but temporary. I'll trade up when the right one comes along." The room spun. My fingers tightened around the cufflinks until the edges bit into my palm. 3 years, countless late-night talks, vacations in Santorini, a proposal under a sky full of stars reduced to a cold transaction. I didn't cry, though. Something else took root instead. A quiet, simmering resolve. I slipped away unnoticed, the leather box still in my hand, and returned to our sleek downtown loft. Ethan wouldn't be home tonight. He'd crash at the hotel with his groomsmen. That gave me time. I opened my laptop, my hand steady despite the storm in my chest. As Ethan's business partner, not just his fiancée, had access to everything. Emails, financial records, client contracts. For hours I dug through the digital maze of Caldwell Ventures, piecing together a story he'd hidden beneath layers of charm and ambition. Offshore accounts siphoning company funds. Emails to a woman named Vanessa Pierce, a board member at his firm, detailing their plans to ditch me post-honeymoon once my family's wealth was secured. Evidence of a merger that would tank smaller investors while padding his pockets. By dawn I had enough to ruin him, not just emotionally, but legally, publicly. It was a reckoning, years in the making, and I was ready to deliver it. The morning of the wedding arrived with a strange calm. My hands didn't tremble as I applied my mascara, the mirror reflecting a woman I barely recognized. Gone was the giddy bride-to-be who'd spent yesterday giggling with her bridesmaids. In her place stood someone armored in a white satin gown, her red lipstick a battle cry. The evidence-printed emails, bank statements, screenshots lay in a slim black folder tucked into my bouquet of lilies and lavender. My maid of honor, Mia, adjusted my veil, her eyes soft with affection. "Ethan's going to lose it when he sees you," she whispered, squeezing my shoulders. I smiled tightly. "Oh, he will." His mother, Evelyn, swept into the bridal suite, radiant in a silver gown, carrying the bouquet. "Lauren, darling, these flowers are divine," she said, oblivious to the irony that they'd soon be a weapon. I hugged her, the woman who'd filled the void left by my own mother's death 5 years ago. "You've been everything to me, Evelyn," I said, my voice catching. She tilted her head, puzzled, but the wedding planner interrupted before she could ask more. 5 minutes, everyone." The church was a vision-stained glass glowing in the spring sunlight, pews packed with 200 guests in tailored suits and pastel dresses. The string quartet played Pachelbel's Canon, a song Ethan and I had chosen together one rainy afternoon, curled up on his couch with coffee and dreams. Now it sounded like a dirge. My phone buzzed with a final text from my private investigator, hired in the pre-dawn hours, reporter and SSC contacts in place. Evidence delivered. I deleted it, slipped the phone into a hidden pocket, and took my place behind the double doors. They swung open. The wedding march swelled. Guests rose, their gasps and murmurs a soft roar in my ears. Ethan stood at the altar, tall and devastatingly handsome in his black tuxedo, his smile wide and practiced. He had no idea that smile was about to shatter along with his empire. I walked down the aisle, each step deliberate, the folders weighed a steady pulse against my thigh. Memories flickered with every stride. Our first date at a hole-in-the-wall jazz club, his hand warm in mine, the way he'd kissed me in a thunderstorm, rain soaking us both, the Tuscany vineyard where he'd knelt with a diamond ring. Now those moments were shadows, tainted by his words from last night. 3 steps from the altar, I caught Jake's eye in the front row. His smirk faltered under my gaze. Did he sense the shift? Beside him sat Vanessa Pierce, her sleek blonde hair framing a face I'd seen in boardroom photos, her navy dress screaming privilege. 2 steps and Evelyn dabbed her eyes with a lace handkerchief, beaming with pride. Mia stood with the bridesmaids, practically vibrating with joy. 1 step and Ethan reached for me, whispering, "You're breathtaking." I pulled back just enough to keep him off balance. The priest cleared his throat, ready to begin. I turned to the congregation instead, my voice cutting through the hush like a blade. "Before we proceed, I have something to share, not scripture, but a glimpse into Ethan Caldwell's heart." I slid the folder from my bouquet, the rustle deafening in the silence. Emails to Vanessa Pierce, his mistress and business associate, dated throughout our engagement. Ethan's face drained of color. I held up the first page, reading aloud. "Once Lauren's trust fund is locked in with the wedding, we'll finalize the merger. She's clueless, perfect for the plan." Gasps erupted. Vanessa shifted, her composure cracking. I continued, my tone icy. "And this gem? She's temporary, Vanessa. You're the endgame. Anyone curious about the offshore accounts? Or the embezzlement from Caldwell Ventures? I've got copies for everyone, including the SEC, who should be here any second." The church doors banged open. 2 agents in dark suits strode in, badges glinting. Ethan lunged for the folder, but I sidestepped, letting the papers scatter like ash. Guests scrambled, some grabbing sheets, others filming with their phones. Cameras flashed from the back, my planted photographers capturing the chaos. "Lauren, stop this!" Ethan hissed, grabbing my arm. I twisted free, facing him with a fury I'd bottled for hours. "Stop? Like you stopped lying to me? Temporary? Ethan? That's what you called me at your bachelor party." His jaw slackened. Jake looked away, shrinking in his seat. Vanessa bolted for a side exit, but I knew another team waited outside. "I trusted you," I said, loud enough for the church to hear. "I loved you. But I was just a pawn in your game." Evelyn stood, her voice trembling. "Ethan, what is she saying?" He stammered. "Mother, I can explain." I cut him off. "Explain the affair? The merger that would have ruined families? Tell them who you really are." The agents flanked him, one reading his rights. Mia's sobs echoed behind me. Evelyn sank into her pew, disbelief carving lines into her face. Ethan glared, his mask finally gone. "You've destroyed everything." I stepped closer, my voice a razor.
"No, Ethan.
You did that. I just made sure the world knows." He was cuffed and led away, his head bowed. I walked back down the aisle alone, chin high. Outside, reporters swarmed, their questions a cacophony. "Miss Harper, why now? Did you suspect him all along?" I paused, the sun warm on my face, and smiled. Sometimes the best wedding gift is the truth. Flashbulbs popped. I climbed into a waiting car, leaving the wreckage behind. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of headlines. Caldwell heir exposed by jilted bride, corporate fraud rocks elite family. My phone buzzed nonstop, friends, journalists, strangers offering support. I moved into a loft overlooking the Hudson River, a space Ethan had mocked as too artsy for his taste. The irony wasn't lost on me as I sipped coffee on the balcony, watching the city hum below. I'd always been the quiet one, the planner, the woman who smoothed edges and avoided conflict. My parents' death car accident, 5 years back, had left me craving stability. Ethan had seemed like the answer. Successful, charismatic, heir to Caldwell Ventures. We'd met at a charity gala, his easy grin disarming me over lukewarm champagne. 3 years later, I was his fiancée and his partner, managing the firm's PR while he closed deals. I'd ignored the red flags, the late-night meetings, the way he'd dismiss my ideas in boardrooms, the subtle digs about my trust fund. Love blinds you until it doesn't. Now I was free. The evidence I'd gathered that night sparked a federal investigation. Caldwell Ventures collapsed, its stock plummeting as investors fled. Ethan and Vanessa were indicted fraud, embezzlement, conspiracy. She turned state's evidence, spilling details of secret meetings in the Caymans, shredded documents, Hidden accounts. Her testimony sealed Ethan's fate. 15 years, no parole. Jake, complicit but less culpable, took a plea, fines and community service. He texted me once a pathetic, "I'm sorry," I left unread. Evelyn's reaction stunned me most. 3 days after the wedding, she appeared at my door, her silver hair pulled tight, eyes red-rimmed. She held out the leather cufflinks I'd never delivered. "These were my husband's," she said. "I want you to have them." I hesitated. "Evelyn, I can't," she stopped me. "You uncovered a truth I couldn't face. That makes you more family than he ever was." We sat on my new couch sipping tea from mismatched mugs. "I failed him," she whispered, staring into her cup. "Somewhere I went wrong." I took her hand. "You gave him every chance to be good. He chose this." Mia struggled hardest. Ethan's sister, my best friend since college, she'd been my rock through grief and joy. Now she called daily, her voice breaking. "Why didn't you tell me, Lauren? I could have helped." But we both knew she couldn't have. Her love for Ethan had always been her blind spot. "I didn't want to break your heart too," I said once, and she cried harder. My own company, Harper Solutions, thrived in the aftermath. Clients flocked to me, a woman who'd walked through fire and emerged unburned. We specialized in corporate fraud detection, turning my pain into purpose. The irony wasn't lost on me. Ethan's betrayal had launched me higher than his schemes ever could. A month later, a letter arrived, shaky handwriting on cream paper. Ethan's grandmother, Margaret, poured out memories of her own marriage, her pride in my courage. "You stopped our name from rotting," she wrote, enclosing a photo of Ethan's grandfather, young and earnest on his wedding day. I kept it, not for nostalgia but as a warning. Charm hides rot. Summer bled into fall, and I walked the Hudson River Greenway often, the leaves turning gold and crimson. Transformation hurt, but it healed too. Evelyn joined me sometimes, our silence heavy with Ethan's absence. "I always wanted a daughter," she said one day, wind tugging at her scarf. "Someone strong, honest. Turns out I got one, just not how I planned." I squeezed her hand, her words a balm. 6 months after the wedding, I stood outside Caldwell Ventures' old headquarters. The sign was gone, replaced by a tech startup's logo. I'd been hired to consult on their fraud prevent Iona delicious twist. Inside, glass walls let light flood spaces once cloaked in secrets. Mia had taken a role there, rebuilding her family's legacy the right way. "We're at 85% workforce retention," she told me in a meeting, her voice firm. "Transparency's our cornerstone now." I smiled, proud of the woman she was becoming. The media dubbed it the Caldwell comeback, but my life had outgrown that narrative. Harper Solutions expanded New York, Chicago, London. I guest lectured at NYU, dissecting the Caldwell case for wide-eyed students. "The biggest threat isn't always outside," I'd say. "Sometimes it's the person you trust most." Ethan's trial came in spring, a 3-week spectacle. I testified, my voice steady as I laid out his crimes. His eyes bored into me, but they held no sway anymore. Evelyn took the stand, her composure unshaken. "Truth outweighs blood," she said, and Ethan's face crumpled. His mother's betrayal cutting deeper than mine. "Guilty, all counts. 15 years. Vanessa got 5, Jake probation. Justice didn't erase the pain, but it lightened it." That night, Evelyn, Mia, and I gathered at her brownstone. Mia raised a glass of champagne, the vintage meant for my reception. "To truth," she toasted, "and the sister I gained." Evelyn squeezed my hand. "You chose justice over love, but that was the greatest love of all." We sipped, the past fading into possibility. A year later, I spoke at the Regency Hotel, same place I'd overheard Ethan's truth, for a corporate ethics summit. The ballroom buzzed with execs hungry for my story. "Truth hides behind charm," I told them. "Learn to see it." In the front row, Evelyn and Mia beamed. A young woman approached me after, trembling. "My fiancé's the CFO at my firm. I found irregularities in our books." I saw myself in her fear. "The truth's hard," I said. "But lies are harder to live with." She exposed him weeks later. Her note thanking me signed with her maiden name. Marcus Reed entered my life, that FIA Stanford professor visiting NYU, all dark eyes and quiet intensity. He asked sharp questions during my lecture, then pitched a collaboration. A fraud prevention curriculum. Your experience could change how we teach ethics, he said. His sincerity disarmed me. No agendas, just purpose. Coffee meetings stretched into dinners. He listened as I spilled my story, not the tabloid version, but the raw ache of loving a liar. Thank you for trusting me, he said, and I realized I had. Our curriculum took off, the Caldwell case a centerpiece. One rainy night in Battery Park, under a dripping elm, he stopped me. I'm in love with you, Laura, not the headlines, but you. Brilliant, fierce, real. I just want a chance to prove love can be true. Rain streaked his glasses, and I saw what Evelyn had months ago. A man who valued me, not my worth. Hope flickered, wiser now, earned. We went public at the Foundation's gala, dancing under the Regency's chandeliers. You're thinking about that night, Marcus murmured. Yes, I admitted. But it led me here. Evelyn toasted us from afar, and I knew she was right. The best revenge wasn't destruction, it was this. 3 years after my almost wedding, I stood in a simple white dress, not the satin armor of before, but a reflection of who I'd become. Evelyn pinned a lily in my hair, teary-eyed. This time it's right, she said.
Mia burst in, laughing.
Marcus is a mess out there. Half of NYU's business school showed up. We married in the Brooklyn Botanic Garden. Vows traded amid cherry blossoms. Love's about truth, I said, meeting his gaze. You make that easy. The reception hummed, students, colleagues, a scholarship launch for whistleblowers. Mia toasted. To my chosen sister who taught me strength, and Marcus, who lifts it higher. Later he asked, what if you'd never overheard him? I glanced at our life, Evelyn, Mia, Marcus, purpose. That night didn't change my path. It showed it. 5 years on, I gave my final Caldwell lecture at Stanford. Marcus, now department head, our daughter Lily, a secret growing inside me. A student asked why I was stopping. Some stories end so others begin, I said, hand on my belly. Mia mentioned Ethan's parole bid. He's changed, she said. He wants us to speak for him. I wrote the board not to judge, but to note transformation. He's faced his truth, I said. That's enough. At the gala I spoke of building, not breaking. Revenge isn't their fall, it's our rise. That night Marcus and I walked the gardens, Lily's future between us. Our story's about truth breaking through, he said. I nodded. From betrayal's ashes we'd grown something real. 6 years after that night, Ethan faced us at Evelyn's dinner, parole fresh, humility in his eyes. Thank you, he read, for showing me a better way. Lily cooed and he knelt, awed. She's your courage. Outside, Evelyn said. You didn't destroy UC, you saved us. Under the stars I saw it. The best revenge wasn't his ruin, but our redemption, Trutha's brutal, beautiful gift.
If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.